Should you move to Plymouth or Northville, Michigan? Here's the honest answer. It really depends on what you're looking for, and the details make a bigger difference than most people expect. Both are small, historic suburbs on the western side of Metro Detroit. Both sit just off I-275 and M14, and both are consistently ranked among the best places to live in Michigan. Plymouth carries that older, established, rooted in tradition feel, a walkable downtown built around Kellogg Park with a steady calendar of classic community-style events all year. Now, Northville is quieter day to day. It has a historic Victorian downtown with some of the top-rated schools in the state. Though it's actively modernizing with newer development, pulling in younger families and more diversity than the historic core has traditionally seen. Both are genuinely great choices. They're just built for different kinds of daily life. Now, here's the part almost nobody explains properly. Both towns actually come in two versions, a city and a township, and Northville has a second layer on top of that, because the city itself sits in two different counties. That's going to matter a lot once we get to pricing. So, let's break it down. Let's start with Plymouth. Plymouth, Michigan is actually two separate places, the city of Plymouth and Plymouth Township, and most people say the name without realizing which one they mean. The city of Plymouth is small, walkable, and built right around downtown in Kellogg Park. This is where the Ice Festival happens every January, art in the park in July, music in the park all summer, well over 100 events a year. Grab dinner on Main Street, walk it off around the park, and you'll probably run into a few people you know before you make it back to your car. And it's not just younger buyers drawn to that. I see plenty of empty nesters making this move too, ready to trade a house they've outgrown and a yard they're tired of mowing. Now, Plymouth Township is a completely separate government. It has its own elected board, it wraps around the city on almost every side, and it's roughly 7 times the land area. This is a classic suburban feel. More traditional homes, most of them put up between the 80s and the early 2000s. Bigger lots and a lot more square footage for the same money. You give up the walk to downtown, but honestly, it's a 5 or 10 minute drive, bike ride, or Uber, either way. And both the city and the township are zoned to the same Plymouth Canton schools. So that part isn't even a factor in the decision. One more thing, if you want new construction in Plymouth without leaving downtown, keep an eye on the Towns at Mill Street. Modern townhomes right in that historic core. Nice option if you want walkability without buying a 100-year-old house. Now, Northville works the same way with a city and a township, except there's one more twist. The city itself sits in 2 different counties at once. Now, stick with me. This one's worth getting right. The city of Northville is the historic core, Victorian homes, brick paved Main Street, mill race village, generally gorgeous and honestly quieter. Restaurants close early, there's not a ton of nightlife, and that's kind of the point. Well, at least for now. A lot of those historic homes downtown fall under a preservation committee too. So you can't just renovate however you want, which is exactly why that character has held up so well. And the city itself is where you'll find the Downs, the old Northville Downs racetrack, right on Center Street next to Main, being turned into a $250,000 new development of condos, townhomes, and apartments as a direct extension of that historic downtown. Northville Township sits just south of the city. It's bigger, newer, more subdivisions, a different feel entirely from downtown or the Downs. That project is bringing a generally younger, more diverse crowd into a town that's been known for decades as older and more established. Now, back to that split I mentioned earlier. The city of Northville is divided almost exactly down the middle between Oakland County and Wayne County, with 8 Mile Road running straight through town as the line. And it actually changes what you're buying. First, the county changes your base tax rate a little. Oakland County tends to run a little bit higher than Wayne County. But the bigger thing, the one people miss constantly, is schools. Part of that Oakland County side of Northville can actually be zoned into Novi schools instead of Northville schools, since Novi sits right on the other side of that line. Now, both districts are excellent. We'll get to exactly how good in a second, but they're not the same district. Different boundaries, different buses, different everything. So never assume your zone for Northville schools just because your mailing address says Northville. Always check the actual parcel before you get attached to a house. Since we're talking about schools, let's get this one right. Northville Public School ranks number 2 in the entire state of Michigan. Plymouth Canton Community Schools rank 34th in the state, but still 3rd best in Wayne County, which is really good still. It's just a much bigger district. Over 16,000 kids across 3 high schools that share one campus. Bigger district means more programs, deeper athletics, more AP options. Smaller and tighter is what you get with Northville. And honestly, both are the kind of schools people move to this area specifically for. Now, and remember that county line we just talked about? The district actually ranked number 1 in Michigan as Novi. And part of Northville sits inside Novi's boundary, not Northville's. So depending on which specific block a house it's on, you could be buying into the number 1, the number 2, or very strong number 34 district, all while telling people you live in the same general area. This is something that's definitely worth checking before you fall in love with the house, not after. Okay, numbers. Let's get into it. We'll start with Plymouth. In the city, a typical home runs around $700,000 on average and has a median closer to $590,000. Now, if you head into the township, it eases down to about $570,000 for average and $526,000 for the median. Condos are basically identical whether you're in the city or the township, with the average and median being around $390,000. In both areas, homes are moving pretty fast, with most homes for a median going under contract within about a week, and on average, it runs a little bit higher, closer to 3 weeks, because there's a handful of listings that sit longer and pull that number up. But most homes are moving in about a week. Condos take a little bit longer to go under contract, with the average days on market being closer to a month and the median is still under 3 weeks. Now, let's talk about Northville. Northville is where it gets interesting because of that county split. On the Oakland County side of the city, homes average around $568,000, with the median being around $487,000. Across the street to the Wayne County side, and that jumps to about $794,000 on average, with $640,000 being the median. Now, let's talk about the township. And it climbs again to about $888,000 on average and $776,000 for the median. Same city, same general area, and a swing of over $300,000 depending on which side of 8 Mile you're on. Now, condos follow that same pattern. Roughly $300,000 on the Oakland County side, up to about $515,000 on the Wayne County side, and around $426,000 in the township. And just like Plymouth, this market moves fast. The median days on market across all 3 areas is about a week. So here's the bottom line. Plymouth's going to fit you if energy, walkability, and having a real mix of price points matters more to you than square footage. And honestly, the city versus township question there, it really just comes down to walkability versus space. Now, Northville is going to fit you if you rather have quiet and some of the best schools in Michigan. Though, do your homework on that county line before you pick a house, because it can change your school district and your price by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Neither one is wrong. It really comes down to which kind of daily life fits you better. And once you see the details laid out, the answer tends to be pretty clear. If you're moving to Metro Detroit and it's in the next 90 days or even within the next year, my team and I would love to help you make a smooth transition. Just click the first link in the description below to pick a time for a quick 15-minute discovery call, and let's map out your move. Let me know in the comments which area seems like it's more your vibe. Is it Plymouth or Northville? Which one's you?